Yo, what's up guys, it's Rob, and today we're going to be looking at the Roccat Kone Pro Air. This mouse was sent out for review by Roccat, so huge shout out to them, but this will not affect my review in any way. This mouse is $130, came out Q2 of this year, 2021. It weighs in at 72 grams and it has an ergonomic shape. Right before I get started, I just wanted to let you guys know I did add this mouse to my mouse review sheet. Link to that is down in the description. Please go check it out. I add every single mouse I review into that sheet. And I will also be adding gameplay that I got with this mouse at the end of this video, so stick around for that. So this is a wireless mouse and the battery life is rated at 100 hours. Which I can't really confirm or deny. I'm not really sure if that rating is with 1000 Hz with RGB on, 1000 Hz with RGB off, 500 Hz with RGB on. I'm not really sure. When I used the mouse with 1000 Hz and RGB off. And at the end of my week of use with this mouse, it was at around 20%, so it did last the entire week without having to charge it, but it was going to need charge. And the cable and or port that come with the mouse would be USB-C, which is always nice to see. The sensor of this mouse is the Owl Eye optical sensor, which was the same sensor that is on the Roccat Burst Pro, which is a top sensor. No issues with it whatsoever. It performed really well and I didn't run into any problems with it. Roccat advertises this mouse at around 75 grams, but on my scale I get 72 grams. For a mouse of this shape and size with no holes is pretty insane. It's honestly really weird holding the mouse and using it and knowing that it's only 72 grams because it is a medium to large mouse and you just wouldn't expect this mouse to weigh that much. The liftoff distance is low and you can change the liftoff distance, but when I tried changing it, it remained the same. It was still low and it didn't really get any higher. So now for the shape of the mouse. The shape of this mouse kind of just reminds me of a bigger KPU. The curves of both of these mice are pretty much on the same place on the left and right side of the mice, but they do not feel the same when holding the mice. The Kone Pro Air is obviously much bigger, and well, you just get a completely different feel when holding this mouse compared to the KPU. But one thing I would note is that this mouse kind of just feels and looks like what a bigger KPU would be like when using it. And I mainly just say that because of the grooves on either side of the mouse. Like I said, don't go buying this mouse thinking that this mouse is going to feel like the KPU. I'm just saying that it looks like it would be a bigger KPU if that was even a thing. The shapes are just a bit similar, obviously not a clone or anything like that. But at my hand size, I am able to palm grip this mouse very comfortably because of the grooves on each side of the mouse. It's just very comfortable. I do end up feeling the hump that is right here on the mouse a lot on my palm, like right below my thumb here. I don't really think this is an uncomfortable feeling, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I do end up feeling the hump of the mouse a lot here on my palm, on this part of my palm. And if my hand was any longer, I might not be able to palm as comfortably. I'd have to curl my fingers a bit if I wanted to, but if I just extended my fingers all the way, if my fingers were any longer, then they would just overlap mouse 1 and mouse 2 and hang over the mouse. I had no issues palming it at my hand size. My hand size is 17.5 centimeters long by 9.5 centimeters wide. Claw grip is my main grip style and it's actually extremely comfortable. To me, it seems like this mouse was made for claw grip. Claw grip just feels so natural and I was able to use this grip style very comfortably at my hand size. And with this grip style, I was able to reach the side buttons easily as well as palm grip, so no issues there. I'm just very surprised how comfortable and nice this felt when using claw grip. To me, it doesn't really seem like a shape that would be good for claw, but I was surprised and, well, this shape is amazing for claw for me at my hand size. So now for fingertip grip. I'm not able to fingertip this mouse at my hand size if I put my fingers on the same spots that I put it for claw and palm grip. But if I do end up pushing the mouse forward like this and end up gripping the mouse like near the back end, then fingertip is possible. And this does not feel bad at all, and it's actually pretty comfortable. You of course have to push the mouse forward so that you're gripping it from further back. One thing to note when doing this is that the side button in the front kind of is impossible to press when doing this because you have to push your hand and or finger forward and pull the mouse back to be able to reach that side button, for me at least, because I have shorter hands. But this was really the only way I found it possible to fingertip. Otherwise, fingertip just doesn't work at my hand size. So now for the coating of the mouse. The coating of the mouse is very grippy. It is unfortunately not the same coating that we see on the Roccat Kone Pure Ultra, the KPU, but this does not mean that this coating is bad. This coating is wonderful and it performed really well for me. I have very sweaty and clammy hands, so coating is a big deal for me. And well, even when my hands got sweaty while playing in game or anything, the coating still felt grippy and I had no issues whatsoever. It kind of reminds me of the coatings that are on the Superlight and the Ninjutsu Origin 1X. I did end up getting the white mouse, and I don't see any like fingerprint marks or anything like that, but I'm sure if that is a thing, it would be more noticeable on the black version of this mouse. But like I said, a very consistent and grippy coating that didn't cause me any issues whatsoever. So now for the mouse feet. The mouse feet are pretty much the same as the ones that were on the Roccat Burst Pro, which in my opinion are the best mouse feet that I have ever used stock on a mouse. And the same thing can be said with these mouse feet on this mouse. The glide feels very smooth and consistent. The speed of the glide is kind of average, so maybe if you do want like faster mouse feet, then you can buy aftermarket skates, but you do not need to buy aftermarket skates for this mouse. The glide is super buttery and smooth, and I had no scratchiness issues. I used this mouse on my Artisan Hein and my GameSense radar, the radar being a soft control pad with a smooth surface, while the Hein a rough, faster pad. And while the glide remained consistent, it was smooth, no scratchiness on either surface, so 10 out of 10, the best mouse feet that come stock in a mouse. So now for mouse 1 and mouse 2. The switches that you get on this mouse are the Titan optical switches, which are the same switches that were on the Roccat Burst Pro. But they do have their differences. They do not perform the same at all. I am very disappointed with mouse 1 and mouse 2 on this mouse because they're not really satisfying to click. They sound very dull and aren't crispy whatsoever. Mouse 1 and mouse 2 on the Burst Pro feels crispier than this, and those didn't even feel all that great to begin with. I'm not sure why they would make them sound more dull than what they already sounded like on the Burst Pro, but the force required to actuate both mouse 1 and mouse 2 seems to be average when compared to other mice, and this was not the case on the Burst Pro. The Burst Pro actually had much stiffer clicks compared to this, so if you didn't like that on the Burst Pro, you do not get that same thing here on the Kone Pro Air. Don't get me wrong, mouse 1 and mouse 2 do perform really well, and I had no issues with them when it came to like actually performing well in-game or anything like that. I honestly only notice the clicks when I'm casually browsing or not playing a game or anything like that. I also do get some very minimal side play on both mouse 1 and mouse 2, but it isn't very noticeable and I didn't even feel it in-game. But yeah, mouse 1 and mouse 2 could definitely be better. The side buttons of this mouse are honestly pretty big in size when compared to other mice. I get a nice crisp click when pressing down on either of the side buttons with very minimal pre and post travel on either of them. Overall, they performed really well and I really don't have any performance issues with them. But one thing I would note is that for me, I can't really put my finger on it, but they honestly feel like I'm pressing the side buttons of a cheap mouse. I guess it's just the fact that sometimes when I press down on either of the side buttons, I hear the sound of the side buttons kind of bouncing back at me. Once I stop pressing the side button and just let go of the side button completely, you kind of hear the side button bounce back. And like, this doesn't affect my performance or anything like that. I'm just kind of letting you guys know what I feel when using the side buttons. And to me, they just kind of feel cheap because the click I get on the side buttons is very crisp and satisfying to press, honestly. But this is what I mean when I talk about the side button bouncing back, the sound I hear. Overall, the side buttons did perform really well, and I had no issues with them other than how they felt when I used them. And honestly, they're much better than the Superlight side buttons. And now for the scroll wheel of the mouse. The scroll wheel is extremely satisfying to press down on. When pressing middle mouse button, I get a nice crisp click When scrolling up or down, you do hear the scroll wheel a bit. It is of course nowhere near as loud as something that would be on a Zowie mouse. Pressing down on middle mouse button requires less force than average when compared to other mice. I never accidentally scrolled when pressing down on middle mouse button, and I never accidentally pressed down on middle mouse button when scrolling up. But when scrolling down, and keep in mind, this is only when I'm scrolling fast, I'm pretty sure you can hear it, I am actually actuating the middle mouse button, and pretty sure this is just mainly because the scroll wheel is pretty sensitive. So if you do tend to scroll pretty fast, you will actuate middle mouse button when trying to scroll. But when I'm scrolling normally, I don't actuate middle mouse button, and I just normally scroll. Even when I'm playing any game, I scroll normally like this, so it wouldn't really happen to me. But if you do tend to scroll faster, then just keep this in mind, because you might end up actuating middle mouse button when doing so. I know this can cause issues for some people, but other than that, the scroll wheel performed really well. It is extremely satisfying to press down on middle mouse button, and I didn't run into any other issues with them. So now for the build quality of this mouse. The build quality of this mouse is exceptional, and this is just like Roccat. Roccat mice are just built different. They feel very solid and of very high quality, and they honestly have the best build quality when it comes to their mice. I get absolutely no flex anywhere when stress testing this mouse. No rattle when I shake the mouse, no creaking or anything like that. It feels very solid. There's no weight balance issue. It's built extremely well, and this is very hard to believe because the mouse is only 72 grams and at this size. The build quality of this mouse is just exceptional, so definitely no issues there. So now, would I recommend this mouse? Well, yes and no. Yes, because I honestly believe this is the best wireless Ergo mouse out right now. The mouse does feel and perform like a premium mouse. For anybody looking for a top wireless Ergo mouse, then I would definitely recommend this. This will definitely be endgame, because I don't think any other wireless Ergo beats it. But before buying the mouse, I would probably recommend looking at other reviews. There are so many other reviewers out there, and I think getting different opinions on a particular mouse is the best way to go, because you get to see a lot of different perspectives and experiences and opinions of the mouse that we are reviewing. Now, on the other hand, the reason I also say no is because $130 is a pretty high price point, and I know not everybody has that kind of money to just throw around and to buy a mouse that's worth $130. So if you don't really like Ergo mice, then I wouldn't really recommend this mouse for you. And the minor issues I faced, like the very dull and unsatisfying mouse 1 and mouse 2 switches, the cheap feeling side buttons for me, and the scroll wheel that accidentally actuates when scrolling down, those issues can certainly be overlooked, but at $130, those aren't issues that I think you should be having to overlook. The mouse still performs like a high quality and premium mouse, and even though I had those minor issues, I was still killing it in game, as you're going to see in the gameplay here in a bit. But overall, for me, this is the best wireless Ergo mouse out, and if you are looking for an endgame wireless Ergo, then this is definitely my top pick for you. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! Oh, that guy got fucking destroyed. Oh my god.
Blue wins the round. 1.
Smiley face.
In 2 seconds. Excellent. Impressive. Red wins the round. 1. Fight. Impressive. Impressive. 2, 1, fight. Impressive. Headshot. Impressive.
Smiley face.